In this video we will learn how to do a surface cladding with a three-dimensional pattern in para3D. In general, there are two different kind of methods which are quite good. I just copy this as an instance to show you the two different kind of methods. You can go into para3D and work with editable mesh, and this just means you have a topology underneath, and this topology underneath consists of, in this terms, 13 vertex points. And alternatively, you can also just put an FFD box on top and work with the FFD box, which are actually then 8 control points. In this terms, I definitely recommend the editable mesh method because it fits much better together and you will not have any gaps if you set up your editable mesh properly. And we talk about the basic topology of our pattern at the end of this video a little bit more in detail. The first thing you need is a three-dimensional pattern, and what you can see here is the smallest unit of this three-dimensional pattern. Underneath there's an editable mesh. Just switch everything off. It's a little bit like this. And then here are 3 editable poly, and it's really important that these polygons are in animate mode. So what they actually do is they all extrude different kind of polygons. So this is the basic structure of my pattern, and the pattern has to be in a way that you can duplicate this. I just copy this now 10 times. Just enter 10 and do it in this direction, and you can already see that as a pattern this works really well. I just enter a number, for example, like 10, and you have to do this as an instance. So when I did this, and I just move this again, and I just change one of the parameters in my editable poly. I just go inside this one, for example, and I go into my edit poly, animate, and change this. Then you can see that they're all changing actually. Okay, so let's start with para3D and let's see if we can make a surface cladding out of this pattern. Okay, I choose my pattern element without my FFD box. I switch on my edit polys again, and I just think that you probably already have a little bit of experience in para3D, so we just start with our surface cladding. I do it a little bit faster, but I think you probably have the chance to follow. I just go into an array by 6 by 10 by 6 objects. I say keep original objects, go into create, and yes, very important, I would like to use the topology of my editable mesh, my 13 vertex points, and it just says don't change something underneath, otherwise you get undesirable effects. That's fine. And I open my para3D. Here we go, and just scroll down so we can see it a little bit better. And if I just select this, you have 61 objects. This means 10 by 6 plus my 1 copy. Okay, what I do is I just open my pattern element and I zoom out a little bit, because what I did here is I just already created a surface. This is a surface, and really important, every surface needs an edit poly on top, otherwise your surface cladding doesn't work properly. And it has to be a developable surface. We probably also talk about this at the end. Okay, what I have to do is in transform I have to add a surface modifier. I just enter SUF surface modifier in my control library, and I make a double click, and then we are already connected. And under select objects I just click this button and select my surface. Okay, when I did this, I can just go into update selected controllers, and my elements already sit on my surface. Here we go, and our surface I just select and say hide selection, so I can just see it a little bit better. And the only thing what it did, actually it moved my objects, so also my pivot point and everything is at the right position, which is quite important. So next step, I deselect my transform and I go into my editable mesh, and under my editable mesh you can see my 13 vertex points. And these 13 vertex points I have to right mouse click and check all. So I select all vertex points, and also under my vector type I have to add the surface controller. I just drag and drop it into my window of para3D, into my viewport of para3D, and here I just enter my surface controller again. You can also choose this actually in your list. Double click on surface controller, and here we choose not copy, otherwise we have 13 surface controllers. We choose instance, and I just say OK. And also here again I select my my surface. Was a little bit stupid that I just unhide it, so I just go into unhide by name again. This was definitely not the best thing, so I just can choose this again, select object. Here we go. And if I now go into update select the controller, something unexpected happens. Everything is gone, and there's a reason for this, because just because I use it as an instance, they all have the same positions of the vertex point. This means the geometry is not visible anymore. So what you have to do is, you always have to do, if you use it as an instance, you have to add on the vertex level, you have to add something like a sub-object controller. So I go into my UVW offsets, go into none, and just add a sub-object controller. Just enter SUB, and if I now go into update again, then it already looks quite good. And now, just to see it a little bit better, I choose again my surface plane and just say hide selection. And here we go. This is what it looks like with my surface cladding if it's not a pattern, if it's just one object. So let's talk about the pattern. What you have in your sub-object controller, you have something like a pattern area. So it can be a grid, it can be running bounds, triangulated, and important, it can be a custom pattern. And what we actually want to create is a custom pattern. And for this you need a little bit more, a better understanding of how this works in para3D. What you can do is just create one box. This is one box. And if I just copy this box, I just copy this box to the one to the right, always as an instance, really important. It has to be an instance, and I just copy it to the top. So this could be already a pattern, and this is a pattern 2 by 2, because the idea of pattern is that if you copy this, and this is what para3D does, if it probably copies it to the right, somehow like this, it always looks for replicated rows and columns, and if it finds a replicated row or column, then this is the starting point for the next pattern actually. So with this, it's important that the pattern always ends and starts at the same position. And with the box, you can, for example, have a 2 by 2 pattern, which is actually good. Okay, let's see what it looks like with our pattern. We already had this pattern array, and I just delete these 2 patterns. So we have two patterns in this horizontal row, and if I choose also this one, and I just take these out, then we have 3 pattern, and 3 pattern define a row, and you can already see that it starts repeating at pattern number 3. So if I copy this, all 3 of them, and I just go into copy, then you have a pattern with 3 by 2, and if I select this, you can see that with element number 3 it's repeating. So if I take element number 1, I can move it to on top of element number 3, and it's copying, it's repeating. I can do the same thing with in the vertical direction. I just take my first one and I can just copy it on this position, and this means that the whole thing is working as a pattern. So what I can do is, once I figured this out, I go again into para3D, I choose under pattern again my custom, and I go into sample pattern, and it just suggests me two kind of patterns, 2x3 or 3x2. In this terms it's 3x2. You just go into confirm, and if I update my controller, you can see that it worked properly. It's a really nice pattern which is now on my surface. If it doesn't work, then you probably have to change the order of the pattern. You have to say 2x3. Actually, this was a 3x2, it's obvious. Or probably go into vertical, but normally horizontal and the white pattern order works. It's really important to understand this properly. So with this pattern, I give you another example. I just turned it around, my first pattern element, this one, and I just move it to the right. So like this, and I can already see that these two patterns are repeating, so nothing is moving in X, or it's at the same position if I can just copy it in X direction. And if I just copy it in my Y direction, sorry, I just go into Y, or just X and Y, and I just copy it, then you can see that it moves to the right. Okay, as one copy. It has to be an instance, by the way. And now I can copy it again. If I copy it again as an instance, and I move it again, and I move it down, then you can see with a pattern of 2 of 3, it just ends up in the same position. So if I take the whole lot and just copy it in the vertical direction, you can see that it works. And if I just copy my 2x3 pattern in my horizontal direction, then it also works. So both options are possible. There's only one tricky bit. If I just take this pattern right now and I just go into a sample and choose this, the 2x3, and go into confirm, and then go into update controller, and zoom out again, it doesn't look good. And the reason why it doesn't look good, because I turned my element. My basic surface cladding was without this element turned. It was in this direction, and then I just turned it, and this is something which doesn't work. So to show it to you, I just quickly make another surface cladding. I just choose this object and I go into para3D. I just have a surface cladding of 6x10. I go into create. I want to have editable mesh. And yes, thanks for the warning. And here we go. I just put this again to the right. I just open it. I enter my transform, surface cladding, double click. And then again I select my object. I go into my editable mesh, deselect my transform, right mouse click, select all my vertex points. I go into surface controller again, double click as an instance, really important, and then choose my surface. I just add my sub-object controller, double click, and if I go into update, then they're already there. And if I go now into custom and choose my pattern like this and go into sample, then I just select the pattern 2x3, confirm, and I update the whole thing. Switch off my hide selection of my object, and here we go. Also, this looks really good. And so just be aware of what you do with your pattern, that you understand this part. This is really important. So let's see what you can do with your surface cladding in detail. First of all, I just go into my para3D, right mouse click, and I just uncheck all. And if I uncheck all, I can also work with my count. So far it was a pattern of 10x6, and now I just change it, and I change it to a pattern 10x10, and to see what it looks like. this is my pattern, and this is the first good thing about para3D, that you can just easily change the amount of elements you would like to have. Okay, 10 by 14 already looks really good in terms of distortion of my pattern. So the next thing we want to look at are the parameters which you already had in your animate. Just remember, all these objects are in animate mode. So if I go and have my extrude, for example, 2, then I can already find my extrude edit poly in my para3D. It's a super long list, really scary. But you know one thing, you just used your extrude for extrude polygon. So what I just do, I just select my extrude polygon height. It's actually this one, and you can adjust it. If I just change my numbers, you can see what's happening with my pattern. I just changed it to number 11, and they're all working. And of course, you can also just add something like a pattern controller. You can, for example, just say, you know what? I just enter the pattern controller, double-click, and you want to have a pattern with the first one has 5 centimeters, and the second one has 10 centimeters. If you go into update, then you can see that there's a rhythm of 5 centimeters and 10 centimeters, 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and so on. And this is something you just do with all the other elements. I just clear up a little bit my para3D. I just select my node, by the way, all of my elements, and just say right mouse click arrange. So it looks a little bit better, but by the way, these two, I think they're better off at the bottom. Okay, so let's see what we can do with our other edit poly, which are in animate mode. This is first edit poly number 3. I again choose my extrude, and I have to deselect all. There's still this edit poly number 2 selected, so that's why I can't get to my count of my edit poly number 3. So I can also change this value. You can see what's happening, and also here you can just add any controller. You can probably add a magnet controller, which is really nice, so you really have a nice transformation over my pattern. I don't do this right now, but that's really interesting. And the same thing I will do with my pattern edit poly number 1. It's this one, and also here we have to first uncheck all, and if I now go here and change my parameters, you can see what it actually does. Really nice. So you have full control of your pattern in 3 dimensions on my surface. This is where the fun bit parts starts, but we don't go too much in details, so the video is not too long. So what I do is I just close everything, and 2 things at the end which are worth talking about. First of all, you have your surface cladding, and you can choose my both surface controller, this one and the top one. And you can just take any other object. You can probably think about distorting my plane. If I go into vertex, and I'm, by the way, in soft selection, that's important, otherwise it wouldn't work like this. And then I can start distorting my object, my surface, and if I go again and select it with both surface controllers selected, the one on transform and the one on my edit mesh, I just select it again. You can also reload it, by the way, and you update the whole thing. Then you can see that my pattern is just nicely following. If I just unhide my surface, then you can see this. This works really well. It's really good. And it's really important that your surface has a continuity. So there shouldn't be any interruptions. Should have a continuity in U and V direction, or let's call it X and Y direction. And it has to be a developable surface. For example, this cube is not a surface which you can unfold with a continuity. If I just unfold my cube, then it looks like this. So this is not working. But what's quite interesting, for example, this torus is working. So if you take this torus and you just put an edit poly on top, which is really, really important, then you can go again and just select both a surface controller, this one, which is under your edit poly, and this one. Okay, just choose the surface controller and just select your torus. And if I go into update my para node, then you can just see that all my elements go onto my object, and I can just unhide my my node, and it looks a little bit chaotic. And also, this is the starting and the end point, so you definitely have to optimize it, and you can optimize it. We don't do it right now, but if you work on this, you can do it properly. You can just trim your objects, for example, and then it already looks much better, and do things like this. So there are definitely geometries which look quite complex. For example, also this torus knot looks really complex, but it's working with this kind of surface cladding. And with a box which looks really simple, you can't do it with a two-dimensional array. There are other ways of doing it in para3D. For example, like a one-dimensional array, but we are not talking about this in this video. Okay, the last thing we want to talk about in this video is your basic geometry. For example, if I look at this element, and this is the starting point of your 3D pattern, we just see how it is produced. Actually, it's a basic element, this hexagon, and then there are other elements attached. And you can already see that if you want to use the editable mesh method, that on editable mesh there are only the vertex points of my hexagons. So you really have to see how you build up your geometry, and here are some very few advices. So I just copy this to my left. And the first thing is I just delete all my edit polys, and until the point where I have this thing attached. And what I have to do is first I have to convert this one to an editable poly. To an editable mesh, so all the informations are inside here. So if I go inside this one, now I have 13 polygons, 13 vertex points. And there's also something really important. We didn't look at our pattern properly. If there are some gaps at the end of the day in para3D with surface claddings, it's not the problem of para3D, it's a problem of your topology. So you really have to see that all these elements have at the end of the day vertex points, so they can all band at the right points. I can do it better in edit poly, so I quickly convert it to editable poly, and I just copy my pattern and just put it to this position, and we can see if it's bending, for example here around my surface, then it's quite obvious that in this edge, for example this one, I need another vertex point, otherwise it doesn't work properly. So I have to go into my snap mode, and I just go into insert vertex, and I just add a vertex point here. And you actually have to do it with all your edges. You have to do it with all your edges, and if all your edges have a vertex point at the right position, then the bending works properly. And once you did it, you obviously convert this again to an editable mesh. What I would like to show you is this closed up visualizations, and here you can see these gaps, what I was talking about. So you can really avoid these gaps if I would have added a vertex point. So this is an edge, and if there would be a vertex point, it would be able in para3D that this point moves to the other corner, and this would have been a clear geometry. And this time you can see that there are still little issues, and they are just related to the basic topology of my pattern. what I can actually do is I can just select my basic polygon. I just copy my edit poly extrude 1, 2 and 3. I just select it with my uppercase key hold and say right mouse click and copy it. And now I select my object which doesn't have any three-dimensional edit polygons anymore, and I just say right mouse click and just say paste. Okay, and here we go. And the nice thing is we copied it also as an animate mode again. So the only thing I just have to go inside and just say rename this. I just rename it edit poly extrude 0.1, and I also do it with the other ones. And if I go into my settings, we can see first of all I have to select one of the polygons. I probably for example select this one, and so this is working properly. I do it with the other ones. I go into edit poly and select this one, and I rename it and just say edit poly extrude 0.2, and I also do it with the other one and select for example this polygon. I just go into my settings and can readjust it, and I rename it edit poly extrude 0.3, and here we go. So wherever you come from, just see that you have a really clear and clean basic pattern element, and then I think the whole surface cladding with a more complex pattern worked properly. This was a very long video, and I hope you learned something out of this. Thanks for watching.